live, Twitter live, YouTube live, whatever you're watching me on, LinkedIn live. And I'm here. My name is Frankie Flowers, aka Frank Ferragini from City TV's Breakfast Television. The reason why I'm here is to help you through the world and the journey of gardening. If you have any questions, because this weekend was a big planting weekend, or perhaps you're out in your garden and you see some insects or some bugs and slugs and you need help, that's why I'm here. The community gardeners that hop on here as well also know the answers to a lot of the questions that are out there. So if you have questions, please put them in the comments. If you have answers to those questions, please chime in too. All your information is really good. Hey, how was your weekend? I spent some time at my family business on Saturday at Bradford Greenhouse's Garden Gallery. For all those that I met in the garden center, it was great to see you. It was great to see how excited everybody was and how everybody was really into planting this season. Looks like everybody's really interested in planting herbs and vegetables and fruits and flowers as well. So it's really great to see the whole world out there figuring out that it's time to get growing and gardening. The reason why I had a little bit, I paused. I'm just reading one of the comments right now. And Peter says he needs help with boxwood. So what I want to show you something too, Peter, is first, I want to tell you a little bit about what we can help you with. And that is if you go to frankieflowers.com, you can actually sign up for the newsletter. I just want to show you the newsletter that you could receive. And if you take a look at the newsletter that's on your screen right now, you will see in the newsletter right here, it says box tree moth warning. So you click onto the little link that's there, and that'll take you to Landscape Ontario. And even if you just want to go in and type in box tree moth, you will see a bunch of information on the box tree moth and what it's doing and how to identify it in terms of if you're seeing some yellowing on some of your boxwoods. The box tree moth is a moth that can cause an incredible amount of damage on boxwoods. The thing is when they get to the young larvae stage that you can see just to the bottom left of your screen right there, that little caterpillar, this is the period of time where we can spray them with the BTK. That BTK will control and kill off that little young larvae. And now is the time. So I would really encourage, outside of even Peter, who needs help with his boxwoods, but anybody else that has boxwoods, to really go out, take a look at the information online about box tree moth detection, and also take a look at your own boxwoods and make sure that we are controlling these guys the best way that we possibly can. Box tree moth is something that is quite harmful, as I mentioned, to boxwoods, and we really need to be aware of that. So he says that he has worms. Those worms are the caterpillars. So what I want you to do is you can go to any local garden center, or you're going to go to anywhere that they sell garden products. You're going to look for a product called BTK, which is actually Bacillus thuringiensis. You're going to treat as directed on that container and treat those little worms, and that BTK will infect the worms, non-harmful to anybody around because it's actually a bacteria, and will control those worms at this period of time. So hopefully that helps you out there. And he's saying, is there anything better than BTK? No, it's pretty much the only thing on the current market for that solution. So Peter, I hope that helps you out there as well. We got a little shout out as well from Matthew Amos that's saying, hey, Frank, hey there. We got Tina this evening also saying, hi, I got a white orchid and watched your video this morning on how to care for it. Have you ever tried growing an orchid on a tree? I personally have not, but if we look at orchids in their native home grow on trees. And that's why when you get an orchid soil, you'll see a lot of bark chips or bark that you see in the orchid soil, because that's the same kind of environment they grow on. So I personally have never tried to grow an orchid on a tree. It is easily and can be done. I've seen friends at RBG, Royal Botanical Gardens, that have done it on some of their displays. Also, I've seen it done at the Toronto Botanical Gardens as well. So there's lots that you can do there as well. Tracy Reynolds, gardener, also big florist that just went through the world of Mother's Day weekend. Happy long weekend, Frank. Just finished a 5K power walk trying to heal my foot. I broke coal dipping in the Lake Ontario last October. I do like coal plunging, which by the way as well. She's also commented, I've grown ferns on bark/wood. The staghorn fern. The staghorn fern is that fern that you can grow on that piece of wood. It's actually quite decorative and really interesting as well. Matthew's just asked me about movies. Have you seen any new movies? And I saw Amy Winehouse last week. I have not seen new movies because all I've been doing is working, and having some fun as well. I got to plant some of my containers last week. My son had his prom on Thursday evening, so I went out and planted some wonderful mandavillas in a container. You can probably see the video on Facebook or on my Instagram as well. If you're wondering what combination I did with that, so I did as my thriller, I put a nice mandevilla on basically on trellis. It was actually on 3 bamboo poles that are put together in a trellis form. I then underplanted it with purple wave petunias in a combination of what's called the wandering Jew. As fillers, though, I added in a few geraniums and some dark leaf dahlias so that we all within the same color tones. So we got a nice little thrill, some fill, and some spill that's there. And I really feel that there's nothing better than a purple wave petunia for color power. Still that same purple wave, that purple is fantastic that's out there. We got Tracy. I know you like cold dipping. I watched it. Yes, you did. Valerie this evening is saying, running a garden center in Paris again, loving it. Amazing, Valerie. Congratulations for you as well. Anybody that runs garden centers, this last weekend was the busiest weekend of the year. But as we continue to have nice frost-free conditions, this next week and the upcoming 2 weeks, I would call them as your ideal planting weeks. A reminder, peppers, we probably don't want to plant our peppers till the last thing. The last thing we really want to plant in our vegetable gardens are peppers because they tend to like a little bit warmer of the soil before being planted. Right now, I have a wonderful thunderstorm that's happening just outside my door. I just had 3 hydrangeas that I inherited with this property. And because I inherited them with this property, I gave them a little bit of a test of it. I'm coming into my 3rd full year on this property. So they haven't bloomed. So I tore them out and I put 3 new hydrangeas in there. They're a new variety that I'm going to test out as well. So that's the whole thing. I give everything a chance in my garden. But if after 3 to 4 years or even 3 seasons, it's not blooming, not giving me any flower power, not producing any fruit, and it's not aesthetically pleasing or creating any interest in my garden, that's when I'm going to remove it and replace it with something else. And I do the same thing as if I have a plant that each and every year gets an insect, each and every year gets a disease. I want to replace that plant with something that's disease and insect resistant. You know, my backyard right now, I'm looking out, my peonies are growing great. And if you remember last week, the bunnies that were hopping around my backyard that continue to hop around my backyard, the key is bunnies don't like peonies. So I can grow peonies in my backyard with no issue with the bunnies whatsoever. So designing your yard so that it works with everything that you have in nature with you, and also trying to find those varieties that can take a little bit less work off you, but still give you lots of flower power, lots of garden interest, lots of long-term interest that's out there as well. We got TJ. TJ, hi, Frankie. Loving a crazy thunderstorm here in Kawartha Lakes. Myself as well as here in Bradford. It was sunny and raining at the same time. Neat thing about thunderstorms, guys, is if you ever see a thunderstorm and we have lightning strikes, and if you wonder how or if all your plants tend to look really green, they look super, even extra greener after a thunderstorm that pushes through the next day. That thunderstorm, when it releases lightning in the atmosphere, it actually releases nitrogen. So some of the water that's falling has just a little bit of a hint of nitrogen because of the lightning. Boom. That's why we get a little extra greening that happens there as well. I'm going to go to Kevin here. Kevin, any suggestions to get rid of clovers in grass quickly and easily? Weed Be Gone, which is a chelated iron, you can spray that. You can spray them with that clover, the clover with it. It'll actually kick that clover back. The next option is just hand removal. We don't really have any non-selective herbicides, well, selective herbicides, forgive me, that will control clover outside of Weed Be Gone. Weed Be Gone, you may have to give it a few sprayings, but hand removal is the quickest way to get rid of it as well. We got Samantha. Well, hello, Samantha. We have pretty tough peony plants. Can they be split and transplanted? So right now the peonies, my peonies at my home, I can see the buds on them. They're quite swelling. I would anticipate probably within the next 2 weeks, I'll have the best bloom production on those peonies. Right now, because of the stage they're at, I wouldn't divide them. I would wait till they're finished their bloom period and then divide them after the bloom period, or I would divide them next fall, in this coming fall. So you can divide them, no problem, but I would wait till either after bloom period or do it in fall. Ideally, when I like to divide peonies is in early spring, just when those eyes start to pop their way through. And we got clover. A little common clover is the best. Just let it be green. We actually planted clover seeds, LLO country grass. Yeah, many people now are really enjoying and embracing white clover, especially in areas where grass doesn't grow well, like underneath the tree, shaded areas, because it is green. You can walk on it and you can cut it before it goes into that flower. So you can do a little bit of mixed clover lawn. But if somebody wants to get rid of it and they want their lawn just to be all lawn, then once again, it's hand removal or using that Weed Be Gone. We got Sean Cassidy. Hey, Sean. My morning glories wall this year, I do it from seed every year, is in jeopardy because of a particular squirrel. Only digs at the exact time the morning glory seeds I put down. He will not touch the germinated morning glories, thankfully. So best thing that you can do is just on top of those seeds where you're putting a little bit of soil, just put some chicken wire down. Put the chicken wire down. First, plant your seeds in. Lay the little bit of chicken wire down, put a little bit of soil on top of that chicken wire, or even just put the chicken wire right on top of the soil where you planted those morning glories. And if it's a little bit of a more denser chicken wire, like the squares are a little bit more, have a density, so they're smaller square, there are more of them, the morning glory will be able to grow through with ease, but the squirrel can't get down to them. So there you go. We have, why does our swamp white oak have curling new leaves? So leaf curl can be due to several reasons. One reason for a leaf curl, of course, is either it had its roots disturbed. It wouldn't be underwatering because we've actually had a very wet spring so fall. But the key is it would be great to seed the leaf. If you seed the leaf curl, sometimes pulling that leaf apart on a white piece of paper, you'll actually see if there's an insect on it. I'm going to give you an example of another plant right now that also has a curl, and that curl is on the hydrangea leaf. And so this is what's called the hydrangea leaf curl. Oh, let me see if I can, I'm going to do this right now. Sorry. I'm going to go share. Here you go. So this is the hydrangea leaf curl. So we can see right there. If we take a look at the hydrangea leaf curl, for instance, and this is quite common, and it happens just for a small period of time. What we'll find inside that curled leaf is what you see right here at the center of your screen. Is you see a little bit of a worm, and you can see all the droppings from that worm. That's the caterpillar that's there. The key for controlling this guy is we were either going to spray it before it gets to this stage, but as soon as it curls itself into a leaf, it's hard to control it because it's protected by the leaf. So with hydrangea leaf curl, all we really do is just pick off those leaves that are curled, put them into a bag, and discard the bag. And we will get a little less blossoms because of this, but it's a great way to control. And once again, they become very cyclical. They happen each and every year. So the key is as we were talking about your leaf curl that you have on your oak that's there, we need to figure out, is that curling because of an insect, or is that curling because of something environmental? Meaning a deficiency in the soil, disturbed roots, maybe sitting too wet. Those are some of the things. So if you can take a picture of that, Michael, and if you can send that to me, Frankie@frankieflowers.com, I'll be able to help you out as well. We have Ashley literally passing through Bradford as we speak on our way home from Niagara. So many amazing gardens down there. Niagara is an amazing place and some amazing gardens as well. We got Deborah. I started my dahlias inside and the leaves curl. Should I throw them out and start over? Not necessarily. If the leaf curl on those dahlias, you might be able just to cut some of that off and the new growth that flushes back could be good. Depends on the leaf curl, if it's actually disease that's the issue or not. Be great to see, Deborah. So you still have time to start over as well. Happy May 24, Frankie Flowers. It's not officially May 24 on the calendar, but this is our May 24 weekend known as Victoria Day. Happy Victoria Day to you as well. Shirley, I've heard that you can put down cinnamon on gardens. Does that do anything to keep pests away? Cinnamon works really well inside your home if you ever have an issue with fungus gnats. And fungus gnats are on your potted plants like this guy. They're where you see like almost like a little, looks like a fruit fly coming from the soil. By sprinkling cinnamon powder down and allowing the plant to dry out, that's a great way to control some of the things like fungus gnats. Outdoors, what happens, rainy days, it just washes the cinnamon away. Matthew said, how was my son's prom? All good. He came home safe and sound. That's the key to successful prom. Comes home safe and sound, no injuries. no charges. It's always really important. Melissa Hare, hi Frankie, having a hard time finding zinnias this year. Any idea if there's an issue or are they out later? Zinnias can be out later. They were in my family garden center. I saw them there over the weekend as well. So they tend to be one of the plants that does come a little bit later on, but you should be able to find them. You should. So just keep on looking, Melissa. Keep on looking out there. We got another little comment here about Begonia Rex. My Begonia Rex stem flowers are bending. What to do to keep the flowers upright? You're just going to have to stake them. So you're just going to have to get you can even get small little thinner pieces of bamboo, and you're just going to have to stake them. When you're staking them, make sure that you're not using anything that will cut into the stems of the begonia. Even if you had old leotards, you can actually just strip the leotards and use those to tie. There's even little, even if you were to go on Amazon, you can find these little, they're almost look like hair clips that you can actually use them to put them onto the stakes, but you'll have to stake them as well. We got Deborah saying, thank you very much. You are super welcome. Joy said, hey, Frankie, flowers, have a good week. I will tomorrow be at Dutchman's Gold tomorrow morning with Breakfast Television, and we'll be talking honeybees tomorrow morning. So I'll be just outside of Hamilton tomorrow morning. Shirley's giving a thank you as well. We got, who do we have here? We got Shelly. Shelly, hi, Frankie. My blazing maple leaves have some black edges. What causes this, and should I be concerned? With the black edges on any maple, sometimes it could even be something that's black tar spot, but it's a little bit early for that. But nothing surprises me this year. Nothing, because it was such a warm winter. We're almost about 10 days ahead of where we should be for this time of year. When I'm seeing my peonies at this time, at this size, at this time of year, it's early. Should you be concerned? No, because what that will do, it may be unsightly for this year. Well, what I've asked of you is the black edges do continue. Next fall, try to rake up as many of those maple leaves as possible and try to get them off your property so that the fungus spores are not going to sit there for next year. Maples hate to be sprayed or treated. If we were to treat that, it would be with a fungicide, but I would really recommend for you not to treat that, and they should be okay whatsoever. We got Melissa saying thank you as well. Well, you are welcome. Pam, hi Pam. Something is eating my maple tree. What can I do? Well, we got to figure out what is eating your maple tree. Can we use some sort of an attractant to, maybe it's a beetle. Can we use a beetle trap to keep those beetles away? If it is, and what type of maples? Is it a Japanese maple? Once again, maples hate to be sprayed. They hate to be sprayed with an insecticide and or a fungicide. Often, sometimes if something's being eaten, what we can do is just take our hose, high pressure wash, and just wash the plant off and try to push those insects away. But we really need to find out what's eating it to try to figure out how to give you control that's there. Lucille, hi Frankie, I never heard back from you about my tall skinny junipers. Help. So Lucille, maybe if you could send me another email. I didn't see an email from you, and I've been trying to be very diligent on people who send emails to me. Once again, it's Frankie with an IE at frankieflowers.com. Send me an email with a picture of those tall, skinny junipers there, and I'll be sure to help you out there as much as possible. Samantha, thanks, Frankie, for your feedback on my corn plant. I had drainage holes, like you said. Hopefully everything's working out well there for you as well. We got Sean again. Sean is asking, I have a fruit smoothie, giant dahlia, zinnias for sale this year, ready to plant. So there you go, Sean Cassidy. I forget who it was that was looking for some of the zinnias. He's got some for sale, so there you have it. And then we got another recommendation here about zinnias that say, I found them at the Superstore, premium price of $5 each, but they're part of the Gigantico collection, which Gigantico seems to be a little bit larger of a pot. It's more of a larger plant. So you're paying more for the more instant gratification side. We got Diane. Hi, my peonies haven't bloomed in 2 years. Is there a way to get them to bloom? So Diane, there's a couple of reasons why a peony may not bloom. One reason is maybe plants have grown, like some trees and shrubs, or maybe somebody's constructed something that they're not getting enough sunlight. A peony needs at least 6 hours of direct afternoon sun. The more sun, the better. So you're saying, well, I get the sun. If you planted your peonies too deep, that crown, that root ball of the peonies needs to be almost a little bit above soil level and then hill out, because if it's planted too deep, it'll actually give foliage and no bloom. Next, if you've had them for several years, and they're just looking weaker and more tired, dividing them may be what you need to do. So this fall, divide them. So those are a couple things how it can help you to get your peonies to bloom. We got EE. I guess it's EE, isn't it? Or LL. What is the best low maintenance perennial? Thank you. So it depends on if it's sun or shade. So shade, one of the best low maintenance shade plants as a perennial that will come back year after year after year in so many different types of shapes and sizes of foliage is a hosta. It's an amazing plant. I've seen houses that have had a fire, the house is burnt down, and then the hosta actually comes back, no problem whatsoever. In sun, a low maintenance sun perennial is like autumn joy sedum, drought tolerant autumn joy sedum, tough as nails, bulletproof with a nice color in the fall. Even your coneflowers, another tough plant that grows really well. Rudbeckia, which is black-eyed Susan, in full sun, really good as well. So it depends if it's sun or shade. And then just a reminder, there's no such thing as no maintenance plants. All plants need some maintenance that are out there. We got Johnny Lawler. Is that my friend Johnny Lawler? No, a different Johnny Lawler based on the picture. I just finished watering my gardens and now I hear the rumbling of thunder in the distance. That's fine by me. Fine by me too, because you know what? Your gardens are going to love a thunderstorm, and it's good that you water them because the thunderstorms that we're seeing right now are isolated. So with isolated thunderstorms, they could water everybody around you but you. So you're better off to make sure that they are watered out there. We got Vivian. Vivian, after the peonies are done flowering, what so you do to make plants look better? Do you trim the leaves? Generally, after the peonies are done blooming, I just cut off the stems that the flowers are on. I leave the foliage that's there, and then that foliage is going to gain energy back to the root to make that plant bigger and better for next year. Fertilizing is also really key. So if sometimes even just adding manure to the soil around your peony or adding a shake and feed Miracle Grow fertilizer around those plants too will really make those plants more healthy. Sometimes peonies get powdery mildew on the leaves a little bit later in the season. A lot of the times that's due to airflow or air circulation. So spacing plants out will help with that. But leaving the foliage there is really important to give energy back to the plant. We got another question. Hi, Frankie. What can I spray on my snowball bush? So your snowball bush is, if it's European viburnum, if that's what you're thinking is the snowball bush, you can use an insecticidal soap right now to try to keep things like beetles at bay so that the beetles can stay away. Insecticidal soap, an example of one of them is Bug Be Gone. That's an insecticidal soap. So we're spraying it as a preventative instead of a reactant. The only thing is with the Bug Be Gone, it's really good for soft-shelled or softer insects like aphids and things like that. Beetles, it won't, because the way that the insecticidal soaps work is they suffocate that insect. Whereas beetles, they won't really suffocate a beetle. Sometimes horticultural oils can help with a beetle, but many of the Japanese beetles, what you can do if you have a reoccurring problem with the Japanese beetle coming onto your snowballs, get a beetle trap that's a pheromone trap and put it on the far end of your property away from your snowballs, and that'll attract all the beetles to it and they'll stay off the snowball, or hopefully they will stay off the snowball. We got Michael Smith as well saying, thanks, Frank. How do we keep rabbits away from our variety of burning bush? They find it irresistible. There's a product called Animal Be Gone that actually has Victrix in it. So spray your burning bush with that, and that should basically the rabbit's going to be, this tastes like shit. Sorry that I said that. And they're going to go to something else, and that'll be a trained behavior. So that's a good product that you have out there as well. The other thing that you can do to keep them away from that is sometimes you can even purchase coyote urine or even put dog hair down around the base of those plants, because then it's a predator and they'll stay away from you. We got Tara. Hi, Frankie. Is there a community garden etiquette? Sharing a plot with people in my condo building, I assume that I should not plant mint. Thanks. Do not plant mint. That's an assumption, and that's a good assumption. If you plant mint, put it in a pot, put it in a container, but never put it in the ground. That's really key. The etiquette as well is, usually with a community plot is, ask questions, because the people that are around you in that community plot probably have a ton of gardening knowledge. So if you're having problems, having challenges, another etiquette I would say is don't plant pumpkins. They get too friggin' big. Don't plant watermelons. They get too big as well. So we're usually going to want to use plants that are a little bit smaller because of the community plot, depending upon the size of your plot that's out there. But good question as well. We got Tracy, who's saying, glad you're knowledgeable on growing all the flowers I used in my arrangement and bouquets. I love Tracy. We still got to get together because I think what we should do is just do some garden bouquets and maybe do like some little easy classes for people on how to arrange some of their garden grown flowers. Peony season's coming up, which is just an amazing season. But the key is with peonies is when you cut them from your garden, you want to give them a little shake, or you want to make sure you're not bringing the insects in with your peonies. Also with the peonies, we want to cut a peony if we're using it as a cut flower early in the morning, right when we have those early morning dews when they're nice and cool. That'll actually make them longer lasting. If we were to cut a peony for use indoors during the heat of the day, let's say right at 2 o'clock when the sun's out, that guy's going to struggle and not do well for you as well. So we got Bob. Is it Bob or Rob? Bob. Hey, Frankie, we have an orchid that all the store flowers have fallen off now. Water and take care of it often. It's starting to bloom more green leaves, but will I see more orchid flowers? So with orchids, I really recommend go onto YouTube, type in Frankie Flowers and type in orchid. You'll see my full detailed video on orchids that are there. Orchids, the way that they bloom is they bloom after they've been stressed. So if you're watering and fertilizing it, it's just going to keep nice green foliage. So you want to cut back on your watering. You want to dry it in between waterings. We want the foliage almost to go a little bit of a yellowish tinge. So we're almost drying it out, making it suffer, making it think that it's going to go and die. That will actually make it send another flower spike out because it's going to want to live. And how it reproduces is through its flower spike. So that's one way that we can get it to reproduce. So I really recommend for you to take a look at that video. It'll be more detailed for you there as well. We got, I think it's Frank. I see an F there. It's Frank Marino. Hi, Frankie. It was nice meeting you Saturday. Thanks for taking the time to taking a picture with my wife. It was nice meeting you Saturday as well, Frank, at the garden center. It was great to be in the garden center. It was great there answering some questions, helping people try to determine what they wanted to select for colors, what they wanted to grow. And then also just kind of, if you guys could ever do a favor for me, that if you're watching here right now, and you have any recommendations on what garden centers can do to improve your experience at a garden center, what are some things that you're there that are confused? What are some like little simple things? I know that my family garden center, the one in Bradford, ran out of carts because it's a busy weekend. So we're going to get more carts that are there. But I would love to know what would make your experience that much better out there as well. But Frank, it was my absolute pleasure as well. Tara or Tara, see, I don't know if it's Tara or Tara. I dated my first girlfriend that I dated for 5 years. I dated her from, what was that? It was grade 10 to like my first year of university. She was Tara, T-A-R-A. And if anybody called her Tara, whew, she got mad. So I'm very aware of that. Very aware. Lori, hi, Frankie. I have 3 cedars that had died in the last couple of years. Is there anything I can do to protect the 2 that are remaining? Cedars like to make sure that they're kept well watered. So deep and frequent watering, soaking them often. And this spring, if you want to use an evergreen fertilizer, which would be higher in the first number, you can use either one you can use fertilizer stakes, but they're not as efficient. I like a nice slow release shake and feed fertilizer. You can use an all-purpose even on those evergreens. But most important thing for cedars is keeping them well watered during the summer season and making sure that when they go into winter, that they're actually going into winter not stressed, meaning that if we have a dry fall, you got to continue to water them in the fall as well. We have Linda. If you are coming to Prince Edward County, Peck, anytime this summer to spend time with CK, Chris Kitchen, we would love to meet you up for a patio drink. I wish I had a friend who would love to nibble on the romaine with you, snuggle up with a good movie. We think you're an awesome person. Boom. Awesome. Thank you, Linda, as well. We'll make that happen because my good friend, Chris Kitchen, I usually visit him at least once or twice a year in Prince Edward County. Chris Kitchen is the Red Barn. So if you want the Red Barn there you go. Andrew. Hi, tips on orchids, please. I have so much trouble with them. Andrew, I so recommend, because there's so many tips. I have a really nice video. Just go type Frankie Flowers into YouTube and put orchids. So Frankie Flowers orchids, you'll see the good video that's there that can help you out there. And then, and even in the comments, if you want more details on that video, put it in the comments on the YouTube and I'll make a new video for that, or I'll extend that video as well. We got Jeanette. Jeanette is asking, how do you send stars? I don't know. I'm sure somebody on some of the viewers here, if you can tell her how to send stars, that'd be great. We got Tracy, who's telling me she sees my dad every week at the terminal, but I'd love to come to your family greenhouse. My father is in his 80s, and twice a week, he drives a truck down to the Ontario Food Terminal to sell flowers. He's still there and still working nice and strong as well. We got Andrew who's saying thank you as well. So guys, we're at 30 minutes right now for all those that joined us on this day, including Andrew James, including everyone that's out there. I want to thank you. I want to hope that you have a great garden season that's out there. Once again, watch out for that box tree moth on your hydrangeas this year. If you see that curling leaf, just pick them off, no problem. Planting, we are good to plant. Looks like we're frost-free, and we're going to be frost-free that are out there. Garden centers, be kind to those employees because this is a really busy time. They're working lots of hours, and they may be a little bit tired. So give them a little bit of forgiveness that's out there. And once again, get out there and get planting your herbs as well. Because I always say there's nothing better in the summer than fresh herbs on any dish. And if you do it, your friends just think you know how to cook even when you don't. So there you go. Have a blooming good week, and we will see you next Sunday at 7 o'clock. I'll be there. I didn't do Sunday this week because it was the holiday. So I thought you'd be planting, so I did on Monday instead. Okay.